Hi, everyone. It's Julie Boya here with another one of my self-love interviews. I'm so excited to welcome Tanja Shaw. Good morning, Tanja.
Good morning, Julie, and everyone out there listening in
I'm
podcast
so,
land.
I'm so excited for this. So Tanja is the founder of Ascend Fitness and Lifestyle. She's a certified high performance coach and the host of the Fit and Vibrant You podcast. And we actually have yet to meet in person. We were connected many years ago through a mutual friend, and we both have this passion and love for really serving our community when it comes to health, wellness, and lifestyle. So we've been really connected for many years, and it's fun. I actually recorded on your podcast over, I think, 5 years ago now. And we reconnected through the beautiful, online Facebook community. And I said, I have a podcast now. Let's re-record for your podcast. So we're having fun doing two of these recordings back to back, which is my favorite to share. I get to hear your story and then share mine. Super fun. So I would love for you to share. I mean, I've just shared so many wonderful things that you do and the ways that you serve your community. Could you tell us a little bit about how you kind of got to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you. So there's a lot, but I can share with you the pivotal point in my journey where I realized that things really needed to change. And it was one particular morning. It was 5:23 in the morning, and I remember distinctly feeling the cool air around my body. I was naked, and my clothes were scattered on the floor on the floor around me. My son was 3 at the time. He was sleeping in the bedroom across the hallway, and I could just feel this sense of slight anxiety in my body, my throat tightening up. But it was a feeling that I was so used to. And I closed my eyes, I looked down, and I was on a bathroom scale, just like every single morning prior and multiple times per day. At that time in my journey, the scale dictated and it ruled my life. So if I was happy or if it was down, I was happy, I'd be confident, I'd wanted to eat well, I'd go for a run. And if the number was up, I would look at myself in the mirror, I'd pinch the fat around my belly, I'd notice that my jeans didn't feel really good. Sometimes I was so obsessed that if I was thirsty at nighttime, I wouldn't drink water because the extra water would make me gain weight because we know this in our mind, like it's water, but you still see that number on the scale. And I would also just say things like, oh, if I'm this weight, I will, not deserve him to like make love to my husband because I didn't feel good in my body. And there is a self-sabotage. Like if it was up in the weight, I'd punish myself. I'd work against myself. I sometimes eat more just because I wanted to feel even worse about myself. And that morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and I just realized that I was treating myself exactly like the cattle about to be slaughtered. So the same level of respect that a butcher would have for an animal, just the sum of its parts, basing my, like judging myself on a number. And I let these obsessive habits really just take so much power over me. And I became really angry. And then I became really sad because I realized I had wasted so many of my years not just truly living, not being engaged with life because I was so obsessed with being a certain body size. And I did not want to look back at my 20s and 30s at the time I was my early 30s, but I looked at those decades and just realized how much of my mental energy was wasted on this not feeling comfortable in your body or always being just too much thought energy. If you think about your mind space, too much of it going towards wanting to be a certain way or the foods that you're eating or should I eat this or should I not eat this or I've been good, I've been bad. It's such a waste because I know that when I'm in my, God willing 90s and I look back at my life and I'm on my deathbed or maybe I'll be the centurion, I'm not going to remember what my body looked like. I'm not going to remember whether or not I was 140 pounds or 150 pounds or whatever. All I would remember was the moments of my life. And I would be so regretful if I look back at my life and just realize at that point that I wasted so much of it on not being comfortable in my body. So I embarked on a different journey, still focusing on health and wellness, but in a way that's not so obsessive, in a way that's more natural, peaceful, so that the natural consequence is your happy, healthy body weight, so that you're not chasing this perfection, not chasing this number, but you're actually fueling your body well. You're treating your body well because you want to feel good and let everything else take care of itself. Now, I will say my journey that was quite a few years ago, and there's been ups and downs. I've gone through periods where I've been super like, nobody should focus on weight loss. Nobody should weigh themselves. And I realized actually it's totally fine to want to lose weight. It's totally fine to weigh yourself. It's more about the relationship with it and how we do it. I mean, you can absolutely step on the scale in the morning and have a judgment-free zone, like, oh, it's up a little bit. Maybe those, like, I shouldn't have eaten all those things, and be more objective and be more compassionate and actually take action. Or you could beat yourself up or judge yourself or just like piss on yourself for the habits that you're having. Yeah. So there's a lot of nuances, and I'm not saying just in my introduction that you need to either like, I've been told, or people will tell me like, I know we shouldn't be focusing on weight loss. I'm like, that's not the point. There's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. You can love yourself and want to lose weight.
Yes.
But it's about how we're going about it. And it's not even the fact that we are pursuing weight loss that's the problem. Right now there's a really big anti-diet movement that say like, oh, like, love your body at any size. And it's the pursuit of weight loss is making us gain weight. I'm like, no, it's just that we did it wrong for so many years. There's another way. And my goal, my passion is helping other people find that other way so they can get to their happy weight. They can feel good in their body without that obsession. And it might mean that you're not going to be at your smallest size ever, because you got to decide what's worth it for you. And sometimes getting to that like that, really small body is not worth the effort.
That was incredibly powerful. And I felt actually you really got my heart just beating so fast when you were sharing that and feeling that moment of not loving yourself because you've been stepping on the scale every morning. What you said about loving yourself while losing weight is kind of the journey that started this whole entire project. Is that I knew that if I didn't start to love myself first, I looked in the mirror and went, why am I so negative about what my body looks like in the mirror? And I started thinking about what you were saying about, loving yourself, and losing weight at the same time. This is a struggle that so many people have. It's a very confusing time for this whole industry, because I've also been in the industry for over a decade, and I've promoted weight loss and healthy weight loss and whole food programs for many, many years. And now it's like the messaging is actually really confusing where we're at, right? There are benefits to releasing weight, but there are also benefits to loving where you are right now. So I think what you brought up really helps us to start navigate this world of no longer diet, but also be healthy, but it's okay if you want to lose weight too. So tell me a little bit about what that looks like for you and your clients today as we, navigate this new world.
So challenging. Yeah. I actually did a podcast on this topic just a little while ago, and it's about something about, I can't remember the title, something about weight loss. It was probably about a month or two ago, because it's like we used to feel shame for being in a fat body or gaining weight. And now if you want to lose weight, you can be accused of fat shaming because you are wanting to change your body and to lose weight, and therefore you are perpetuating body image disorders and emotional eating disorders and eating disorders. And so it's like there's no winning anymore. It's really confusing. And here's the thing, it's not so much about the terminology. For example, even the word diet, like I still say like without dieting, because most people think about diet as in this restrictive, like white knuckling it, all in, no fun, it sucks. But diet is just the food that we eat. Like if you just neutralize things and we take out all the drama and we say like, hey, you know what? I actually feel a lot better when I stop eating so much sugar. And so maybe you're on a diet where you reduce your sugar. It doesn't mean that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're deciding that you feel better when you don't eat sugar, so you're going to eat less sugar. we just have sometimes so much drama around these words,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it is a very confusing time. Like, if you want to get into any sort of heated discussion, talk about abortion, politics, or nutrition. Like,
I know, it's how did nutrition end up in this controversial, but it is. And you mentioned it too when you were talking in your introduction about how the culture around weight loss was just so wrong, and just perpetuating this myth that we all had to look the same, right? And that was the only acceptable thing. But my happy, healthiest weight is not going to be the same as yours, although I don't have a scale. It's funny that you mentioned the scale, though. I would use the scale in a good way. For me, it actually helped keep me on track. I was not weighing myself every morning, maybe once every couple of weeks or once a month. And it would be a reminder to me, if the numbers change significantly, then I know that I'm making poor choices. And for me, sugar. I love how you mentioned sugar. I don't think you know this about me, but that is my biggest struggle, is reducing the amount of sugar in my diet. Sugar addiction is something I really, really struggle with. So for me, yes, reducing sugar is a healthy diet for me, because I need to do that, because I don't feel good when I eat a lot of sugar.
yeah.
So
And what you said there about the scale, like the scale is kind of like a bathroom, or not a bathroom knife, a kitchen knife. You can either kill somebody with it, or you can make a beautiful meal. It's just a tool. It's a relationship with it. So if you are stepping on the scale and you're having all this judgment and self-hate and just not being nice to yourself, and it's causing you to, like, I shouldn't say if it's something causing you, it's not the scale it's causing you to do anything. It's your thoughts around it.
yep. Yeah.
Because what you said there about stepping on the scale and saying, oh, like, I'm up, oh, I'm down, like, whatever, it just is, then it can be a very useful tool. And yes, like, there's body composition things where you can lose body fat and gain muscle, all that kind of stuff can happen. But it's more about our thought process around it. And that's where I do the majority of my work now. I can shout from the rooftops how important mindset is in our self-talk, but that's the biggest thing that we work on, because once you can shift your thoughts and your thinking and your mindset, then everything else falls into place.
Well, and that leads me to the next part of your business and your work that I want to chat about a little bit. Is you mentioned to me before we started recording that you lead your clients through this whole you transformation. And this sounds really, really interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a process. It's an online course and it's a coached program, because do-it-yourself programs like this don't really work as well. It's a series of habits that we focus on to really transform one's relationship with food, with their self. And we start with more of the tangible habits, so that really help people to pay more attention to their own, like, what's going on with themselves, what they need to do in order to feel them out, and in order to feel their best. We do have some things that everyone does just to really have that more peaceful, natural relationship with food, to start to tune into your body's natural hunger signals. And then we do a lot of mindset work to really break or take away the barriers and the struggles that get in our way. So often we have these things like, oh, I just, you do things for a while and you can't stick with it, or you have these things that are getting in the way, and generally it's our thoughts that are getting in the way of making change. So we do a lot of work on that as well, to shift our mindset so that it feels less like work and it feels more natural and sustainable, because that is my goal, is that you can get to this point where you are just really just listening to your body, and eating when you're hungry, and stopping when you're satiated, and getting on with life, and creating a lifestyle where you don't feel like you need to stress eat, because you can actually manage stress in other ways. That's the goal of the whole you transformation, and really making it actually a lifestyle, not just saying that we need to count points or calories for the rest of our life and call it a lifestyle, but to the point where you're actually changing the structure of your life and your thoughts and your environment to really support you living your best life.
What I love is that it encompasses everything. It is all about, it's not about just your food. It's about your mindset. It's about your habits. It's about movement. It's about how your body responds when you eat, when you drink, all these things you were saying, being able to be confident that you're going to eat when you're hungry and you're going to stop when you're satiated, which we don't even, these signals we just don't even learn as children. I know I have a daughter, I know you have children, and it's one of the things that I'm trying to teach my daughter is to really listen to her body if she's full, right? Like, are you hungry right now? Yes or no? Okay, so you're actually hungry. And then once you've eaten, give yourself a moment to wait and see if you're actually full. And I'm trying to teach my child that, because it really isn't something, it's like one of those things that should be taught, from when we first start eating, really, is to understand and listen to how our body feels when we eat different foods and how satiated we are.
100%. And actually, but kids are born with it. We just mess them up by doing things like, oh, you got to finish your plate, or you can't have dessert until you eat this. And then they stuff themselves full of like the chicken and broccoli just because they want dessert. Like we actually, kids naturally, if you left them to themselves, they're going to eat a variety of foods. They're going to eat when they're hungry, and they're going to stop when they're not, like, no, which is brilliant. And if we just did that, like, how simple is that? If we all, it doesn't matter what you eat, you can eat the healthy whole foods, or you can eat some pizza or whatever. But if you just ate when you were actually physically hungry, and you slow down enough to pay attention to your hunger and satiety signals, and you stopped when you were satiated, holy smokes, that would be awesome. But there are a lot of things that get in the way of that, like the emotional components, often that diet mindset where I have to eat this now because I might not be able to eat again, or this food is off limits and tomorrow I'm going to start being good, so therefore I need to eat it all now because tomorrow I can no longer have this food again. So these sort of things we need to work on. We need to kind of break or remove all those barriers that get in the way of actually doing that, because it's a very simple concept, not easy. There are a lot of things that can get in the way, but absolutely doable with practice.
So you have shared a lot of really different concepts that you work with your clients with. You've shared your own beautiful personal story and your struggles. Let me ask you this, because the focus of what we do with these beautiful interviews is all about self-love. I feel like this is a pretty critical component to some of the work that you are doing, maybe all of the work that you do today. So how do you see self-love fitting into the work that you do?
100%. It's very, very important. Now, before I even talked about why, though, I want to just bring back draw back the curtains on what self-love actually is. Because often we think about self-love as looking at your thighs and be like, oh my gosh, I love my thighs and I love my belly. And, I just love myself. Like, that's not self-love. Self-love, for one thing, it could be an action, not just a feeling. So if you're feeling right now that, oh my gosh, I don't love myself, that's okay. There's a layering process, and you can start by just showing your body love, showing your self-love by the actions. And then in turn, the feeling will come. Just like if you're not super happy with your spouse one day, you can still decide to act lovingly. And by acting lovingly, you start to get those feelings back and you start to feel it too. Self-love also is not just, like I said, this infatuation with yourself. It's also partly self-respect.
Yeah.
And that's a big layering process. So you may not think like, oh, I love myself, but you can start with respect. And that's a really gentle place to start as well. Also, self-love is not just the physical components. It's not just saying I love, like I said, love my thighs, love my butt, all that kind of stuff. In fact, sometimes the less we can just really focus on the way our body looks and more about just who we are, that could be really helpful. And then the last point I want to just clarify is that self-love doesn't mean you're blind to your shortfalls or your shortcomings. You need also self-awareness. And it doesn't just mean like, oh, like, even though I have all these bad habits, I still love myself. You can still love yourself, but you can still be aware of those things.
Yeah.
Just like your child. If your child is doing things that are not in alignment with your values at home, you can still love your child, but it doesn't mean you're not going to discipline them and help them, guide them to better choices. It's not just, I think what we fall into sometimes is that self-love is complacency or resignation, and it's not. And that's sometimes where that confusion can come in too, between, can I love myself the way I am right now, or I get to not love myself and lose weight. There's actually, like, they're not two different things, because when you really want to take care of yourself, like one of my favorite quotes is by one of my earliest podcast guests was Julie Stubblefield. She said that when you love something, you take care of it. And when you come at your journey from a sense of actually want to take care of your body, and you want to fuel your body with nourishing foods. You want to move your body in a way that feels good. You want to give yourself rest. You want to speak kindly to yourself. Then everything becomes a lot more natural and easy to do because you're focusing on a feeling and you're focusing on wanting to take good care of yourself. Like, you don't feed your kids junk food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because you love them. You feed them nourishing food because you want the best for them. And that is a really important point. The next point why self-love is so important is when we work again, like, so often we're fighting our body. We're just being mean to ourselves. We're not talking nicely to ourselves. And we're always fighting. And a lot of clients I work with feel like they're always fighting themselves. And when you fight yourself, you're going to lose. So when you start to come at it from a place of self-compassion, self-awareness, self-respect, self-love, you can start to team up with your body. And now that's a really powerful place. Not just the intuitive way that it makes you feel better and more likely to take action in a more powerful, meaningful, productive way, but also in the whole physiological states as well. So it lowers your stress levels. Like, if you're always feeling like you're under attack from yourself, your cortisol levels are going to be up higher. And cortisol is a great hormone for fat gain. So it's really counterproductive. And when you feel safe in your body, when you feel like you can trust yourself, when you can feel, yes, safe is the best word, then you can start to just lower all those stress hormones. You can start to make decisions from just a better thinking state. I mean, if you think about, if you're being attacked all the time, like, let's say you're walking down the road and someone's chasing you, like, you're not going to be your best self to make really higher level thinking decisions. Like, it's very fight or flight and very reactionary. So we need to start to work with ourselves that way. It's a process. It's not like we flip a switch and be like, oh, I love myself now. So don't think that you're broken or anything's wrong if you don't. You're totally normal. But there is a layering process. And also, self-love doesn't mean that every single day you're going to feel self-love. Like I said, it's an action. You can still act lovingly, but you might not feel it every day, and that's absolutely okay.
I love that you said too that self-love is an action, because one of the things that I've been working on this project for about 6 months now. I'm at over 40 interviews with people sharing their different views on self-love and what that looks like. And there's definitely a component of taking action and creating new habits to help that feeling continue throughout the day. And even on the days when it's rough, even if you have a few like cornerstone habits to get the day going, you know that you haven't lost all the progress that you did. Maybe today the only thing you did was wake up with gratitude. Maybe that was the only self-love thing that you did, was say thank you for this gift of another day, and the rest of the day went to hell in a handbasket. But you know that, you know what, I still can love and care about myself, and I can go back to these actions and these habits that I build over time in order to continue growing my self-love, and a little bit of the ability to bounce back, right? Because tough things are going to happen. We know that for sure. We're going to be faced with challenges. We're going to be faced with difficulties. But the more we build up this self-love muscle, like you said, taking action, not just saying, oh, I love my body, which is part of it, but the rest of it, the drinking of the water, the getting the sleep, the nourishing foods, all these things have to do with self-love.
Absolutely. Well said.
Summarizing what you beautifully shared. I loved it. So as we wrap things up, I love asking this question of all my guests. So you've shared so many beautiful strategies and ways of thinking and mindset shifts. But if you were to inspire people who are listening or watching to share one thing that they could change or add, or add starting today, what would that be?
In regards to self-love?
Yeah.
You did warn me that you have a question, and you're like, some people like to prepare. I think the number one thing I would get people to do is just to draw awareness to themselves. I think that's such a powerful way to start, just to start to pay attention to your thoughts, and mostly your thoughts, honestly, because once you can start just becoming aware, then you can start to get curious and you can start to shift and change them. And I'm going to give one more too. The second one is to come at your self-talk from more of a judgment-free, compassionate place. It will change everything. It will make your ability to look for solutions, to make progress so much easier when you stop all the drama and all the beating yourself up. And if you can do that, my goodness, you are like on your way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've loved our chat. It's been really wonderful. You shared so much beautiful goodness around self-love and kindness and having a healthy lifestyle. If people want to connect with you, which I'm sure they do, where are the best places to find you?
Yeah, thank you. The Fit and Vibrant You podcast is my weekly, sometimes I add a couple more podcasts each week, is one of the best places to reach me. And online, TanjaShaw.com, TanjaShaw.com is my website. And there I have links to all my Instagram and Facebook. I'm Tanja Shaw, really across the board.
Yeah, and I've seen you've been doing Facebook Lives as well. So great way to see Tanja, how, sharing her tips through live videos as well. So listening to her through the podcast, whatever medium you want to get to know her better, there are lots of ways. So thank you so much. It's been really wonderful, and I really appreciate our time together.
Thank you.